Hello, everybody. We are live. It is Friday, October 20th, and you're tuned in to another edition of The Missy Show. We're still your premier source for fun and informative pet topics. I'm your host, Jay, and unfortunately, Dee will not be able to be on this particular episode with us tonight. She had some unexpected things come up with her job, so I hate that, but she won't be here. We're hoping that she will be able to join us for tomorrow's episode, though, but we're going to get into that. So, tonight's episode is Spider Goats Revisited, Animals and Science Merge. This was originally supposed to be our first pet spooktacular episode, but due to Hurricane Nate, which happened a couple of Saturdays ago, we had to reschedule this one. But it all worked out in the end because you guys are now going to end up with two back-to-back Missy Show episodes. Because tomorrow we have another show for you entitled The Creatures That Don't Exist, Creepy Cryptids Return. Now that's going to air at our normal time of 5 p.m. Central. Okay, now on to tonight's episode, Spider Goats Revisited. Okay, first off, I know everybody may be wondering what on earth are spider goats. So I don't know if all of you have been with us since 2014 when we first went on the air when we were on Blog Talk Radio. You may not know what the spider goats are if you haven't been listening to us since then. So I'm going to tell you exactly what a spider goat is. Okay, first off, spider goats are not goats with 8 legs, nor are they spiders with a goat's head. So it's not anything like creepy or freaky like that, because that's actually what Dee was thinking the first time, I kind of brought up the concept to her. So I'm going to read an excerpt from you, and bear with me because I'm kind of using like multiple electronic devices. I've got like my cell phone here, I'm on my laptop, and I have my tablet. So I'm reading from different things. So this will kind of give you an idea, and this may be the same article, one of the articles that we used back in 2014, but this will just kind of give you a quick refresher as to what a spider goat is. Basically, researchers from the University of Wyoming developed a way to incorporate spider silk spinning genes into goats, allowing the researchers to harvest the silk protein from the goat's milk for a variety of applications. For instance, due to its strength and elasticity, spider silk fiber could have several medicinal uses, such as making artificial ligaments and tendons, eye sutures, and for jaw repair. The silk could also have applications in bulletproof vests and improved car airbags. So, I mean, who would have ever thought that spider silk could be used for all those things? But here's the deal. So you may ask the question, well, why not just get it directly from spiders? I'm going to answer that. Normally, getting enough spider silk for these applications requires large numbers of spiders. However, spiders can be territorial. So when the researchers tried to set up spider farms, the spiders killed each other. Okay, not good for what they were trying to do, and I guess not also good for the spiders either. To solve this problem, Randy Lewis, a professor of molecular biology at the University of Wyoming, and other researchers decided to put the spider's dragline silk gene into goats in such a way that the goats would only make the protein in their milk. So you don't have any freaky spiders actually like Spider-Man or something like shooting silk out of their not out of their hooves, out of their legs, out of whatever. So it's not a deal like that. So they're only like making it in their milk. Like any other genetic factor, only a certain percentage of the goats end up with the gene. For instance, of 7 goat kids born in February 2010, 3 tested positive for having the silk protein gene. When these transgenic goats have kids and start lactating, the researchers will collect the milk and purify the spider silk protein into much, much higher quantities. Now, here's the deal, though. Other than their ability to produce the spider silk protein, the goats don't seem to have any other differences in health appearance, or behavior compared to goats without the gene, the researcher said. And in the future, what they're planning to do, they're going to incorporate the silk genes into alfalfa plants. They say this could produce even larger quantities of silk. So basically, that's what the spider goats are, so they are goats that have been genetically modified, and they now have a spider gene in them that allows them to produce the silk in their milk. So this show isn't primarily about the spider goats. I was basically just kind of using that as a setup for what we're going to be talking about. If you want to go back and listen to our spider goat episode, it is on our Blog Talk Radio channel. And at the end of this, I'll be sure to have a description of that in the have a link for that in the description. I really need Dee here tonight. It's just hard when you're trying to do all that talking on your own. So I'll have a link to that episode if you guys want to check it out. So this is just to get everybody thinking about how you feel about the blurred lines of mixing or altering animal DNA, even if it is for the purpose of furthering science or helping humanity. What are your thoughts on this? And that's especially true in the case of chimeras. Now, in this sense, I'm using chimeras by talking about animals that have, let me go back here, where human genetic material is mixed in with animals in some type of way. So now we're not talking about like insects and animals like with the spider goats. We're talking about humans and animals. And of course, that's not what a chimera means. That's the more modern, one of the more modern definitions. The original definition in Greek mythology, a chimera was a fire-breathing female monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. And now one of the definitions is an organism containing a mixture of genetically different tissues formed by processes such as fusion of early embryos, grafting, or mutation. So that's the type of chimera that we're going to be focusing on in this episode. And speaking of chimeras, let's talk about some experiments being conducted in an attempt to grow human organs or body parts for those in need. Let's see here. So bear with me. Sometimes my voice kind of tends to want to go when I have to, kind of do all the reading myself. And some of this information I will probably just post for you guys later. I'll post them on the Google Plus page and on Facebook and Twitter, so you can go back and read a lot of this for yourselves. But this chimera thing, it's really, I don't know. It's very Frankensteinish. That's the only way I can describe it. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. I mean, it's for a good cause, and I'm just gonna dive into it. This is from an article called "Human Animal Chimeras Are Gestating on U.S. Research Farms." Braving a funding ban put in place by America's top health agency, some U.S. research centers are moving ahead with attempts to grow human tissue inside pigs and sheep, with the goal of creating hearts, livers, or other organs needed for transplants. That already just, I don't like it. I don't know. I don't like the sound of it. But, okay. The effort to incubate organs in farm animals is ethically charged because it involves adding human cells to animal embryos in ways that could blur the line between species. I'm skipping a paragraph here, and I'm just going to something that I starred. The agency in a statement said it was worried about the chance that animals' cognitive state could be altered if they ended up with human brain cells. Basically, what they're saying is you could have an animal that has some human level intelligence, which would be a really bad thing. The NIH action was triggered after it learned that scientists had begun such experiments with support from other funding sources, including from California's state stem cell agency. The human-animal mixtures are being created by injecting human stem cells into days-old animal embryos, then gestating these in female livestock. 20 pregnancies, and I'm kind of leaving some stuff out here because I'm going to let you guys go back and read it. 20 pregnancies of pig-human or sheep-human chimeras have been established during the last 12 months in the U.S., though so far no scientific paper describing the work has been published, and none of the animals were brought to term. Thank goodness. But I don't know. Here's my thing. With anything, there's both good and bad that goes along with it. And I could see a lot of good because, you know, it must be horrible to go through the experience and trauma of losing an arm or leg and becoming an amputee. And it would be awesome to, you know, be able to potentially grow a limb, or if you're on the transplant list waiting for a new liver or a new heart, wouldn't it be awesome, you know, to be able to do that and grow that? And mainly I guess I shouldn't have said amputees. We're mainly talking about hearts and livers and such things like that. But I also had seen something where, you know, they could grow an ear like on top of a mouse's back or something like that, like a human ear. So they're getting to the point where they're trying to be able to like regenerate or grow organs and things, not just organs, but actually, I guess maybe limbs. They haven't gotten to that point as far as we know. But it's just, I don't know. I just don't like the idea, because back to my original thought, it's just, it could be used for both good and bad. Because just like you could say with the internet's a wonderful thing. I love the internet. I'm always on the internet. I'm always researching something. But the negative sides that come along with the internet, you've got the dark web. You know, I don't know if there's some people dispute that that's true. You've got porn. You've got child pornography on the internet. You've got a lot of negative things that go hand in hand. So just like with anything going on, how there can be a good side and a bad side. Just imagine what the bad side of this could be. Just imagine people who just want to do something like this just because they want to see what type of creature that they could create out of this. So, I mean, I guess it could be a positive thing for people who are using it responsibly, but just what if someone really wants to bring some of these things to term, and what if they do use a little too many human brain cells in something, and then you get an animal that's just as cognizant as a human being? You know, that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing. No, it wouldn't be a good thing at all. For me, it just kind of seems as though they're playing God. I'm going to read a bit more from this one. By modifying genes, scientists can now easily change the DNA in pig or sheep embryos so that they are genetically incapable of forming a specific tissue. Then by adding stem cells from a person, they hope the human cells will take over the job of forming the missing organ, which could then be harvested from the animal for use in a transplant operation. This is even more Frankensteinish to me. We can make an animal without a heart. We have engineered pigs that lack skeletal muscles and blood vessels. A cardiologist who leads a chimera project at the University of Minnesota says, while such pigs aren't viable, they can develop properly if a few cells are added from a normal pig embryo. Gary says he's already melded 2 pigs in this way and recently won a $1.4 million grant from the U.S. Army, which funds such biomedical research to try to grow human hearts in swines. It's creepy. It's just, and I know it's easy to say because I'm not in that situation. Thank goodness that I need a heart or I need a liver. And I ask myself, would I feel differently if it were me? But it still just sort of feels like a line is being crossed that we as human beings shouldn't cross. That's just my opinion, but you know, it doesn't feel right. And here's the thing, and then I put like a really big star on this one. The specter of an intelligent mouse stuck in a laboratory somewhere screaming, "I want to get out," would be very troubling to people. And that's the thing, because what if they take this too far and they do develop something that has human-like intelligence, or even if it had half of our intelligence, that would still be a horrible thing, where this creature, this animal now can think, and it's aware of its surroundings in a way, not saying animals aren't aware of their surroundings, but to have an animal that can think on the level of a human being and actually ponder their situation and their existence. Yeah, super creepy, super creepy. I won't I was seeing, was there anything else in this one? There's a lot more to this. I'm gonna just post this for you guys because I don't think my voice will hold up if I try to, keep reading that. But I had some other stuff for you. I may end up not letting this one be as long, because there's another cool article that I wanted to share with y'all called Frankenstein's Cats. And it's actually a book, but there's an article that they kind of wrote up about the person who wrote the book and a little bit about what it's about. But I'll just, post that for you guys to check out for yourselves. But another article that I found interesting is called Genetic Manipulation, the First 50,000 Years. And it just kind of goes on to explain that actually this type of stuff has been going on for a long time, just not on the level of what we're doing now. But let's see, they're actually saying that there's not really anything new to genetically modify plants or animals. Because it says today, using biotechnology, humans can directly manipulate the genetic code of plants and animals, making them resistant to crop decimating diseases, tolerant to insect pests, or incapable of breeding, thus reducing disease transmission. But we have growing concern about GMO technology. But actually, according to this article, let's see, they talk about dogs, and I think I read a little bit about this before, but I didn't know it to this extent, that the domestic dog is probably our longest running genetic experiment. Through the process of selective breeding, humans have altered the genome of the domestic dog incredibly, with the earliest evidence of changes to the dog occurring in well-preserved remains buried in a cave about 33 years ago. Let's see, where did I want to? This is really fascinating regarding, because they talk about even like genetically manipulating foxes, and like you can control whether the foxes are friendly or not. But the bulldog example that they talk about, hang on, I'm trying to go down here to where I saw this. It's such a cute little bulldog on here. Yeah, okay, it's the English bulldog, and they say originally this breed was created for the sport of bull baiting. The genetic mutations causing wide mouths and short muzzles, coupled with enormous strength, allowed the bulldog to clamp onto the nose of a bull and not let go. That sounds really painful for the bull. This sport fell out of favor, of course, in the Victorian era, but the bulldog remained. So even though the sport went away, okay, it's like, okay, now we have these dogs where that was their purpose. So with no job to do, breeders focused on exaggerating the unique characteristics of this breed through intense inbreeding. Within a few decades, the bulldog had been transformed. The modern bulldog's unique structure is actually due to an inherited form of dwarfism, a mutation which causes an extremely large head, broad chest with short dwarfed legs, malformation of the cartilage, hence the crumpled shrunken tail of the bulldog, and a protruding lower jaw. 80% of these dogs have to be delivered by C-section because their heads are too large to be born naturally, and a staggering 71% of dogs suffer severe joint issues. So, I mean, when you think about it, it's just they're very cute, but they've been manipulated in such a way, and it also causes malformations, just like how now they have the turkeys that they're making, because everybody's wanting bigger breast meat, like in the chickens and turkeys, and you have these chickens and turkeys that are just so juiced up that their legs can't even support their weight. So we've kind of been genetically modifying, you know, these animals throughout the years and everything, but dogs are actually the earliest like ancestors, you know, where that type of stuff has been going on. And I'll be sure to, you know, post a link to this too. Yeah, they go on to talk about birds that can't walk. They, you know, and they have like, it's really sad, like looking at a picture of this chicken, and these chickens are just so huge they can't even stand. Their legs just can't even support the weight. So there's good and there's bad. My opinion on the level where they're kind of tinkering, where they're mixing DNAs, and they're sort of kind of putting human genetic material, you know, which a lot of that they're getting from aborted babies. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. And I just feel like sometimes we as human beings can go tinkering in areas that we do not need to tinker in, and we should just leave some things alone. Once again, I do understand that I'm not in the predicament of needing an organ, and I hope I never am. So I don't know what I would say if I were in that situation, but I still feel like I would not approve of it. If there were some other way that it could be done, like if say you could get genetic material from the person themselves who needs the new heart grown or whatever, and you could just find a way to grow it without involving animals or something, just in a laboratory or something, maybe. But I'm not a big fan of the chimeras and all this stuff. But it's really fascinating. But I don't want to bore you guys by just trying to like read everything to you more than I have. But I just wanted to put this out there and just kind of see what you guys thought. But be sure to check out our social media pages. And like I said, I'll post all that as soon as I wrap this up. But hopefully Dee will be back with us tomorrow, so you won't just have to hear me just sort of reading. But tomorrow's material will be much lighter. It'll also be a show that we have covered before, but we're going to be talking about more cryptids. But I won't go into what cryptids are on this one. You know, I'll let you guys come back tomorrow and check it out. Just remember that it's going to be at 5 p.m. Central, and it will also be on Google Hangouts. So I just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry that I'm going to cut it short. I was going to try to make this one a full 30 minutes, and had Dee been on here, we probably would have gone even longer. We may revisit this one at a later time, you know, when Dee can join us. But I have a lot of good information for you guys that you can actually check out and read for yourselves. And that'll be much more interesting to you than hearing my voice give out as I try to read it all to you. But thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday night. And please join us again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central for our brand new October Pet Spooktacular episode. This is your host, Jay, signing off. Thanks for listening.